So, many don't know about the major conflict in the Middle East. It's a really important issue between the Israelis and the Palestinians that started the Roman Empire was around. These conflicts have been around for so long that they've just snowballed into bigger issues, like some of the water rights and the Israeli settlements that are starting to become illegal against UN law. But there's also major issues such as Jerusalem, where they can't pick who would completely own it or if they should do it in halves or quarters, because both sides want a peace and both don't want to compromise. There's also the security and the terrorism, because there are Palestinian terrorists and the Israeli security that they have to worry about in this issue. So that's why the UN had to step in, because of the Hamas, and that's why a lot of countries around the UN had to pick sides. Like the US before was mostly Israeli side, but then once Obama came into into administration, he went towards the Palestinian side, while Trump now is leaning more towards a one-state solution, while the other ones have been two-state, and he's picking more of the Israeli side of the compromise. Between these two states, or they have to decide if they want to be a one-state or two-state, because then that would help their conflict and their resolution because of these 5 main issues. One of the main issues with this conflict is the water rights between the two states of Israel and Palestine. They have to decide if they want to be a one state, which would make it equal to separate it into halves, so Palestine could at least get equal amount to Israel, unlike what it is today. But if they are going to do a two-state, then they also should decide which gets the aqueducts and which get the lakes, because right now Israel has 87% of the water out of everything in that region, while 13% of it is just going to the Palestinians, even though the Palestinians have more people. They have to decide which proposition they should go to, so they could make it fair, because right now the Palestinians are getting the short end of the stick. So another issue in this major conflict between Israel and Palestine are the Israeli settlements. They are borderline illegal against the UN law, because they are technically on Palestinian land because of the 1967 agreement, even though Israel is now expanding and Palestine only has the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. With the one-state solution, these settlements wouldn't be as big of a problem, because it would all be one state. They could just divide another place equally and Palestinians could go anywhere. While in the two-state, they'd have to move one group. So if they divided Israel in half, then all the people in the north of Israel Israelis had to move down south or up north, whichever region they pick. Plus, they would have to take down the settlements or put Palestinians in there, giving them a house. But many of them won't agree to this because of problems running through this area other than just these settlements, also including the water rights, because wherever the water is, a lot more people are going to be, like near the aqueducts and the rivers. So they're also going to have to factor that in too. While there's also the security wall around Israel right now and the West Bank, because Israel is saying that they only put the wall up just for the terrorist attacks that are mostly Palestinian, such as the Hamas. But if it's going to be a one state, again, then they could just take it down because it's all one state. And they don't really want to border in between those two, and they could act like one state. But if it's a two-state solution, then it could create a natural border between the two states, so they don't have to make a new border, it would already be up. But they should give more of the Palestinian land back to the Palestinians because they have so much of the population. Again, this also brings another reason for tension between the two groups, so that would be another reason to take it down. Back to the terrorism, a lot of people are fearful of the Hamas because they are based in the Gaza Strip, but they do, since they are so close and they are in Israeli territory, a lot of the Israelis are fearful because they're so close. They could do the missiles and a lot of the weapons. Sorry for the change of scenery, but something happened. So another major issue with this conflict I was talking about was Jerusalem. It's a holy city for all three of the major religions of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Israel wants Jerusalem to be their capital in this new two-state solution that they're mostly leaning towards. But the Palestinians, if it's in a two-state solution, they want at least half because it is their holy city. Since another option is a one-state, a lot of people think that it could be the capital anyways because they are going to be merging governments in a one-state solution. Right now, since they have not decided, the UN has stepped in with this conflict, and a lot of people think the UN should just make Jerusalem as their city, like the first UN city, because of all three religions mostly is that's their holy city. So UN, in my opinion, should really step in because all three would want it at least a little bit, but none of them want to compromise, especially Israel and Palestine. Anyways, right now, nothing's really getting done except for a war and terrorism, but hopefully in the future more things will happen, especially to resolve this conflict. Jerusalem will stand in the future.